If you could please
Wow.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Yami, also known as Yami Sensei or Yami VT. The sensei comes from me having a professional background as a preschool teacher or kindergarten teacher. Kind of depends. Here it's the same, but kindergarten teacher, preschool teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I am a comfy content creator. I kind of focus on soothing content and like lighthearted, goofy stuff. And I also make music and recently getting into ASMR. That's kind of what I do. I guess I am fairly the word say so is very closely linked to my name.
Yes, for sure. Obviously, you can definitely tell that from the background that you are very in your element with things that are light, fluffy, pastel colored, and family friendly. That's a really big thing for you and your brand. And obviously, being a preschool teacher in real life, it is something that you've brought over into your VTuber persona as well. And I think that's just super cool.
Yeah, thank you. It wasn't something that I planned to do, but one day when I was like, you know how all good ideas come to you when you're taking a shower?
Yes, it's either that or at the place where you're otherwise going to least expect it.
Yes, exactly. When I was having a shower, I was singing along to like a Sum 41 song or something, and I figured, wait, why don't I just get like 2 outfits for my avatar? And I can be preschool teacher Yami, and then I can have my alternative, like dark kind of, I wouldn't say emo, but emo-esque looking avatar too.
Yes, well, getting into a bit of spoiler territory there, I wasn't even going to bring it up yet, but I might as well. So I guess first off, Yami in a literal sense translates to darkness, which is very much not what your normal persona is, but as we'll discuss in a bit more detail later, despite the fact that you are obviously very say-so, very wholesome, you still like a fair bit of darker content, particularly when it comes to the horror genre.
Absolutely. I'm a huge horror buff. And for me, that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I was born into it, as they say. And maybe I feel like somehow that has helped me keep my head cool and keep things say so.
Provides a balance.
I know how I react. Yes. And I kind of know how I react in like these scary and stressful situations. And
yeah, Garfield the Ader in the chat says soft goth, and I think that is a very apt description of you.
Thank you, the soft goth boy. Yes,
and speaking of soft and fluffy things, you are also part of the group FUWATOPIA.
Yes, an amazing group. I love each and every one in there, and I'm so proud and flattered that they want me in the team. It is like my greatest achievement in streaming to be part of that group.
Yeah, it is a group that is, as the name would suggest, focused on fluffy, wholesome, and just a very positive content creation, and you fit in very well there. And you're actually the second member of FUWATOPIA that I've interviewed, the first being Phoebe, who was on the show a couple months ago, and she was just delightful. So I'm glad that I'm able to talk with you as well. And there was actually a FUWATOPIA collab as part of Lemon Leaf's 12-hour stream yesterday, and it was great to see all of you. I believe you were playing Mario Kart, if memory serves.
Yes, Mario Kart, and we had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
It was all out war. It was great.
So, I suppose, what got you into teaching? Is that something that you always felt that you had an affinity for, or is that something that you discovered as you were going through your own education?
So that is, it's almost, let's see here, what got me into it? I guess, now, I don't want to be, usually when I tell this story, people are like, oh no, I'm so sorry, but I don't want sympathies. It's just the way it was. I was, I had walked out of home, and turns out I got homeless and I didn't really know what to do and I didn't have any income and anything. And it just so happened that one thing that one can do, without like having a degree for it, is to work as a kindergarten or preschool teacher substitute. Not, preschool teacher, but preschool substitute. So I try that, and having been in a very dark place for a very long time, I was like shocked. I was completely shocked, to be honest, over how wholesome and fun and just lovely it was. And from there on, I was like a changed man. I didn't know anything could be that fun and make me that happy. So I figured this is probably something I should do. Because before that, I was kind of like, I wouldn't say scared, but kind of scared to interact with children because I didn't know what to do, and they made me uncomfortable. And now I just love being around them. They give me energy.
Well, that's fantastic. That obviously, even if it started in a very negative situation, that I'm really glad that you were able to find something that brought so much positivity into your life, and that you were then able to obviously reciprocate and bring positivity into others' lives. That being a teacher, frankly, I think is just one of the most noble professions of being able to really help impact the next generation and help others. And my mother actually was a teacher for many, many years, and seeing her and seeing other teachers made it so I knew from a very early age that I did not want to be a teacher. I do not have the patience to be a teacher. That I enjoy working with other adults. That's part of why I started Vtuber Talk, that I like collaborating, I like organizing and talking with people, but I don't think that I would be able to teach, in particular, preschoolers at maybe university level, but I just could not imagine being able to corral young children and have a good time with it. So I think it's great that you're able to do that and to be able to get so much of out of it and put so much into it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not for everyone. I don't think everyone should be a teacher at all. So if you're in doubt, then I would say don't.
Is there a particular topic or subject that you find that you enjoy teaching most, or is it just the overall act of teaching that really does it for you?
I think so. It's a bit difficult to pinpoint a topic. We don't like focus on topics very much in a preschool or kindergarten.
I suppose so, yeah.
It's more like we have a curriculum, if that's how we say that in English.
Yep.
And we need to get that in there somehow, but how we do it is very fluent. It's just kind of whatever comes to us, whatever the situation allows for. So I think teaching children how to coexist, teaching them how to stand up for themselves, how to respect one another and themselves is I can't come up with a word for it, but that is like my favorite thing, when I can see that they're growing into the world and kind of asserting themselves in the world in a way that is fair. That is just the best.
That's really cool, and I definitely that's something that drives a lot of teachers, of being able to see the impact that you have on others and helping be able to teach and guide them is just super fulfilling. As Alati, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, in the chat says teaching kids is one of the most important jobs in the world, because obviously we all have to learn from someone and from somewhere, and teachers just become such a important part of our lives that sometimes even bad teachers can become an important part of our lives, in us discovering, all right, this is a bad teacher, this is how I do not want to act, or this is something that I know that I don't like, so this is, it's in a terrible way, teaching you what you don't want to happen to others. But hopefully you have more good teachers than bad, and you can learn, even if you don't enjoy the subject that they are teaching, that you can learn different things about the world and about yourself. That some of the subjects that I enjoyed the least in school were from the teachers I enjoyed the most, and that was part of what let me know of, okay, I like the teacher, I like their style, and I'm understanding this content, but gosh, I'm not having a good time in class. And that sort of lets me know of, okay, it's me, I don't enjoy the content. Versus when you might have, a bad teacher in a subject that you're super passionate about, and that can be even worse, because then it's just ruining the experience of, I know I like this, and now I am not liking it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of responsibility that comes into teaching at many levels, and that is one. like a good teacher can absolutely change anyone around or anyone's opinion on a topic around, and the confidence I find to be the most important thing. The confidence to take on something that you may be lukewarm on or not even like or enjoy,
Yeah.
but still have the drive to do it.
Now, it's not something that most teachers, at least in preschool, teach, but one thing that is also very near and dear to you is music. You do a lot of singing. One of your top channel point redeems is actually doing a song. I'm sure you sing to your class, but you are not a music teacher from what I understand. So I suppose on that subject, what got you into writing and performing music? Was there any particular occasion that led to all that?
Oh, yeah, let me unwrap that. Is there anything specifically? Ooh. Well, first of all, no, I'm not a music teacher, but I do teach a lot of music. I teach the joy of performing music, or the joy of just hanging around and doing music. Like,
yeah, you
a lot
teach
of
music
percussion and singing
appreciation, but I
together and
assume
stuff
you're
like
not
that.
teaching them
Yes.
scales and whatnot.
No, no. The only thing I teach the kids is that when you sing, you need to smile big because it sounds stronger when you do.
Yes.
But anything. Let's see here. So going back to my teenage years, I guess I wasn't allowed to have any instrument. Wasn't allowed to have a guitar. Not an electric one that wasn't plugged in or anything. I'm not sure what the deal was. I wasn't allowed to buy one for myself either. So that was a bit strange. I didn't really get it. But eventually I got one. I must have been like 16 or so. And I got one. It was like one of those really cheap guitars that has frets that are very sharp. So I would cut my fingers, even though I would like tape over the frets. I would like cut my fingers open all the time, but I didn't want to not play. So I was just really excited about having this guitar and playing. And let's see here. The reason I think that I wanted to get into it is because that was kind of, well, it was the dream, right? It was the dream of being in a band and playing music together, because music has always been my comfort. Very, very different styles of music always. I was really into like Coldplay and The Killers and Nirvana, Foo Fighters growing up. A lot of like rock and alternative rock.
Yeah.
Then I kind of learned more about music, and it became so important to me and so comforting. Like, for example, Blink 182, Sum 41, like the big pop punk bands is something that I discovered, and like hardcore punk. I discovered all of it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. I just want to be a part of this. Or Taking Back Sunday, for example. Like,
Yeah.
I remember
That
listening
when
to
you
Taking Back
find
Sunday.
music that speaks to you or that you just enjoy listening to, it seems relatively natural that you want to then try to create that type of music.
Yes, I just felt like I need to be a part of this thing that is so important to me somehow. And that's how I got into it. And I played guitar every day for 3 and 4 hours, maybe. Between 2 and 5 every day or so. With this guitar that would cut open my fingers. But yeah, then finally I got a guitar that didn't cut open my fingers, and it was way easier to play. And then I got into the piano, and eventually I got into producing my own stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you actually released an original single called Ceiling Stars. That was about a month or two ago now.
Yes, Ceiling Stars.
Could you tell us a little bit about it? Because I've heard the song, but for anyone who might not have, if you could tell us just, a little bit about the message, the style, and perhaps some of the influences that you had when creating it.
Oh my god, how do you describe the style? It's kind of like a dance-friendly track with like an overabundance of synth layers and like a very big buzzing bass, which is basically it's a bittersweet dance track meant for me to kind of scream my heart out about kind of where I'm at in life. There's some parts, like I've been bedridden for a couple of years, and it's like how I don't want to get back to that, and how Ceiling Stars comes from the fact that sometimes I have to rest and I just lay down and I kind of stare, and I stare off into my own ceiling, and I think about where I'm now, all the uh, the lovely people that support me and that are in my audience, and how they're my 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 lights and my my stars. It's corny, but um, I would think about them bringing me joy when I would lay and stare up in the ceiling,
Hmm.
and how I'm probably not going to be back to be bedridden, and I have all this.
Uh-oh, your audio cut out for a minute there. Yami, you there? I see you still moving.
Mm.
Oh, there you go. We're back.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. Regular Discord stuff. Where was I?
Talking about it, the stars and not being bedridden anymore, and how just the people around you have become very important to you.
Yeah, pretty much that. The style is like oh my god, I listened to so many different styles. I don't know where it came from. It was a lot of experimentation, like a lot. Must have spent 10 or 20 hours just kind of playing around with synthesizers until I got a sound that I kind of like, and then I made it into whatever this track is. So I don't have like a specific inspiration. It all just kind of
It is really
showed up.
unique because it's, like you said, there's a lot of heavy synth in there, but it's definitely not hard rock, which, you mentioned that you really enjoy hard rock and listen to that a lot, but it doesn't fall into that category for sure. But this is definitely not the type of thing that you're going to be playing for your preschoolers either. But it's the type of thing that if you were to play the backtrack for them, that they'd probably get up and dance to it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted something with a really nice pulsating bass. And something that maybe my friends can dance to, because my friends don't usually care about my music because they either think it's like too edgy or too weird, whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. This one you can really dance to. Come check it out. Yeah, I just wanted something that's joyful, like bittersweet but joyful.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it. Bittersweet but joyful. That it's certainly not negative. That even if there is those hints of sadness around it, that ultimately it is a happy song.
Yes, it's looking forward.
Yes, yeah. Do you have any future songs that you want to write, or ones that you're able to talk about that you might be working on? Obviously, I don't want you to give away too much, but I'd like to think that will not be your last original.
Oh, I'm working on a full-length album.
Oh, wow.
So absolutely not my
Oh, boy.
my last. Yeah. Thing is, I need to nail down a sound or a couple of styles that I want to go for, and need to program all these synthesizers, which can take a few hours to kind of get one right, and then maybe I don't like it, and I'll do something else. I have will be at the very least 8 songs. I have some ideas for them. Some are going to be like almost pure EDM, like a kind of throwback to Swedish house, because it's something that I didn't like at the time, but now it has become nostalgic to me, and I like to throw in nostalgia in my tracks.
That's super cool.
And then I have ideas for like ballads, almost like I want like an angry ballad, like a a ballad that will just allow me to like gently sing out frustrations. That's pretty much it. In a city pop ballad style. Well, we'll see. I'm working on all of these like all the time.
Sure, and that sounds super cool. That I actually didn't know that you were working on an album. I don't know if it's something that has come up in your other streams before, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I know that writing even a single song is an undertaking, and trying to put together an album, and especially one with 8 tracks, that is a big task, to be sure. So I'm sure it'll probably be a little while until we get to hear it, but I'm very much looking forward to that day.
Thank you. Yes, I estimate it will take about 1,000 hours total of work.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's about the time it takes for a full length.
Yeah, put it at 100 hours per song, and then a little bit left over, and then an extra 100 or so for all mixing and mastering and just detail work. So yeah, you're gonna hit 1,000 pretty easily there.
Yep, I think so. But I'm looking forward to having it. It'll be fun. Maybe one day I can like I have this dream that I will play these at a convention sometime, and I guess that would be that would be giving away what I look like. But I'll cosplay Yami and I'll sing.
There
this
you go.
stage
Yes.
and I'll get rid of all the makeup and all the clothes and stuff, and I'll hide in the mask. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
really into conventions. That prior to last year, I did a lot of actual convention work and just live event support, and I think that there is absolutely going to be a place for VTubers in conventions once things start opening back up. I think there's a couple different ways that it could end up going. I don't want to get too deep into it because I do want this to be about you, but my basic theories are that I think there will be ways, and there already have been instances of not just virtual cons, but basically having a panel where, everyone goes into the panel room where they would for a normal in-person performer, but then you have your big projector where you would usually put whatever presentation the speaker is speaking about, and that you have a stream going, so that way a VTuber can either do a Q&A or a performance that is on a private channel or a private link and be there without having to be there in person, because obviously with VTubing, not doxing yourself is a very important thing. That there are some who blur the line and sometimes outright combine their IRL persona and their VTuber persona, but that's not something that is necessarily commonplace. But I think there's going to be ways for conventions and events to allow for this type of thing to happen, and I certainly hope so, because I think we have the technology.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think as long as VTubers will try and make it happen, it will happen. People love VTubers. We all love VTubers.
For sure, yeah. That Takanashi Kiara of Hololive EN became the latest member of the 1 million subscriber club, meaning that now all 5 of the Hololive EN girls are past 1 million. So I think it's safe to say that that little experiment was a success.
Yeah, really. Wow. I didn't know. I actually, this may be blasphemous, but I haven't watched any of the Hololive EN.
There's nothing wrong with that. That Hololive isn't for everyone. Obviously, I think they did a big service in helping broaden the VTuber community, because a lot of people have that as the entry point, but certainly don't think it's necessary for everyone to be watching them or keeping up with them.
No, but I agree. From all I know, I mainly of the Hololive girls, I mainly watch Pekora. She's a big inspiration.
I can see that she's also very bright and pastel, a little bit louder than you, but
she is loud.
Yes. But anyways,
loud but say so.
Yes, indeed. But back to you. We spoke earlier in the weekend. One of the things that you mentioned that you enjoy, which I actually didn't know, and I've been to a fair few of your streams, is that you're really into collectible card games.
Yes.
That in particular, you mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Do you have any stories about how you got into those, or maybe even your favorite styles of play? Because I played Yu-Gi-Oh! For a fair bit. I now play Magic the Gathering, and I collected Pokemon cards back in the day. I didn't actually play the game, but I am now familiar with the rules, so I'm curious as to what your involvement with those games is.
Well, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Was just something that I've always played, be it with friends or with other people. It's just something, it was always with me. And Pokemon is something that I was into as a kid. The card game. I always been into Pokemon, but the card game I was into as a kid. And then one day, so a few summers ago, a friend of mine used to just kind of show up, would be at my door and be like, "Hey, I'm here." And I'm like, "Cool."
It's time to duel.
We didn't have much else to do. Yeah, and one day, we just kind of had a nostalgia summer. We would watch old VHS tapes and listen to Young Lean, and one day he brought his Pokemon cards because he had heard that it's a legit good card game. And vintage Pokemon, the first 3 expansions, that is very well balanced and good, super skillful and fun card
and
game.
it's a very different. Like I said, I don't actively play the Pokemon trading card game, but I will watch. Sometimes I'll watch a championship stream or something. I don't keep up throughout the year, but when it comes to a big tournament, I'll sometimes tune into a stream. And the one thing that I can tell about Pokemon, having even just a rudimentary understanding of game design, is there's been a lot of power creep in that over the years. And to be fair, power creep has happened across basically all three of the major card games, being Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic.
Oh yeah.
But in particular, Pokemon is one where the numbers have just scaled up very, very high, and you can see it at a glance. And that, Hitmonchan, I remember being one of the sort of standards back in the day, because for
the
one
haymaker.
fighting energy was jab, and I think that did like 20, and that was about as optimal of an attack as you could get back in the day. And
That is strong.
and the ultimate for HP, it was Charizard with 120, and nowadays there are ones with 250, and so the things have gotten up there, but that's how games go. But I definitely know what you mean in terms of the older ones being a little bit more curated, a bit more contained, and that happens when you only have 3 sets and that you don't need to worry about combinations of cards that have spanned multiple years. Do you have a particular either favorite card or favorite strategy that you had when playing?
Pokemon?
Yeah, or Yu-Gi-Oh, either or.
Rattata. I just really like Rattata. It's this little rat, but you can move it around freely, so like you can.
Yeah, it had no retreat cost.
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary. Like, yeah, I'm gonna bite you. I'll use this as a finisher, and you can't defend against it. What you gonna do? And it's like 30 HP little rat.
Yeah, it can't take a hit, but it could deal like 20 or 30. So if you were able to land a good hit and get another opponent's Pokemon down, that it could definitely act as a good finisher, and then get out of dodge before it has to worry about taking a hit itself.
Yeah. So it's like a fun utility. I like the sort of stuff about card games in general. It allows for a lot of creativity, and you can find good uses for things that are seemingly useless.
Yeah. In Yu-Gi-Oh, did you have a particular archetype that spoke to you?
Yeah, Ritual Beast, because I like combos. And they look pretty colors, pretty pictures.
Yeah. I remember that I really enjoyed the volcanic ones because I enjoyed dealing a lot of indirect damage, and then having like it was like level limit area B and gravity bind to make it so your opponents can't attack. Meanwhile, you're just pinging them with 500, or Dark Room of Nightmare to make it 800 each because it was all indirect damage. And then there was the Dark World archetype, which had to do with discarding cards, but then they would come back to the battlefield and get extra effects.
Yeah, Dark World was dirty at the time. It's a while ago now, but gotta say, Yu-Gi-Oh is really good in that sense that it has so many different ways of playing the game. Like, it's so different.
Yeah.
Extremely different, and I like that. It's very creative. People complain a lot about it being linear at the meta level, but I find it to be a very creative and fun card game.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that it's approachable in that they have these self-contained archetypes that spell out on the cards very clearly, okay, these cards are supposed to go together. One of the only things I really don't like about it is that the archetypes were a little too linear in my opinion, that everything that was meant to go together goes together really well, but there's not as much freedom to mix and match outside of the archetypes as in a game like Pokemon or Magic. But that's just different styles of gameplay. Some people really like those ones where you have different strategies, and then there's still the modularity of, all right, which cards in the archetype, how many of each card. There is still creative energy and just optimization to be had there, even if it's more self-contained.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't mind any of it. Yeah. Whatever you like, just play it.
Yep, that is
That's my
absolutely my opinion. That all 3 games, I think, are very good. They have very big fandoms, and I do not think that the world is too small for all 3 of those games, and then some. That there have been plenty of card games that have come and gone over the years, and I'm not sure if you've heard one called Flesh and Blood, which has been pretty up and coming over the past couple of years, but you always wonder, all right, when are we going to see another big one have a big debut or breakout there? Did you ever play either competitively or just casual with your friends?
I would say both. But nowadays it's just casual.
Hmm.
Just casual. It's been casual for many years now.
Yeah, that's definitely how I played for the most part. Now, in terms of casual versus competitive, one thing that I also know that you had an involvement with is some combat sports, and those by nature are a bit more competitive. So I'd be super curious as to, well, anything from your journey or maybe some particular stories of different matches, because you mentioned that you at some point done grappling, judo, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and kickboxing, and that's a lot.
It's a lot. Yes. Okay. So, my life before the pandemic was basically 90% combat sports. I would do 8 classes a week,
Holy cow.
six days a week, because it was fun. Like the combat sports world can be much more wholesome than you would think. I made a lot of friends, and everyone's just there to have fun. They're there to learn. They're there to like. Everyone encourages each other to get better, and we all want to help out. And it was a nice community. Well, yeah, it was a lot. So my body at first wasn't used to it, so I had to like learn to pace myself. And then when I did, I got really into it. So it's like hard to say what my style is. I used to compete in judo. I haven't competed in anything else because I just don't feel like it, and I don't want to get a concussion.
Very fair.
But judo is a brutal sport. You wouldn't think so, but it is like rough. If you compare it to jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu has a lot more like ground fighting, grappling stuff, which is like nobody's gonna throw you on your head on the ground. But
Yeah.
judo is mainly throws, and then some MMA. Honestly, I've been forgetting the striking stuff, but MMA is just a fun, well-run way of working out, and I am not one that would want to step up in an octagon because I don't want to get injured for life. But the sport itself it's a lot of fun. Like surprisingly easygoing, fun people come to these.
Do you ever keep up
So,
with
yeah.
any of the competitive circuits in terms of just, viewing?
I used to follow UFC for a long time and judo worlds, but not anymore. I don't know.
Hmm.
Haven't had the time.
Yeah, you've been a little bit busy with, all of this.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Do you-
Extremely.
Do you think that that's something that you'll get back into as things open up?
I want to get back into it. I don't know. To some degree, at least, I would love to get into combat sports again because I love wrestling people. It's just fun.
And that's
It's okay.
cool. That I'm certain it probably won't be to the same degree, especially since obviously you've now got a lot of time and energy being put into your music and VTubing. But I certainly hope that you'll be able to get involved with that again because it sounds like it was a really big, important part of your life, and it would suck to have it just completely stop. So even if you're not going to be doing 8 lessons 6 days a week, hopefully you'll be able to still have that be part of your life. And I think that's really cool that you have that even though you have this very sort of self-contained preschooler teacher persona, you have so many different interests and all these different outlets for your energy that people wouldn't necessarily expect, and that's super cool.
Yeah, I guess people wouldn't expect it. But for me, it's a given. I feel like it's a very good thing to know and be confident in your ability to protect the children that you are working with, for example.
I hadn't even actually thought of it from that perspective, but that makes a lot of sense now that you mention it.
I think so. It makes a lot of sense.
Now, one other type of competition you mentioned that you're into, or at least had some experience in, was esports. Are you able to talk about that to any degree? That I don't want you to dox yourself, obviously, or anything, but you mentioned that shooters in particular were something that you were particularly skilled at.
Yes, so there are many shooters in the world, and some of them I was very, 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 very good at, to the point that I can't talk about it. But I would say esports are not worth it. Don't get so good at a game that it's about income and prestige. It's not fun anymore. You just play the games that you like. Do your best. Have fun. Don't become an elite. It's not fun anymore.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen you play a shooter on stream. Maybe I just haven't tuned into the right ones, but do you do shooters at all when you're streaming?
Not really. I mean, I've played Doom Eternal a couple of times because we've been like talking about it on stream. That's about it.
I feel like one of these days you should indulge yourself into a couple that maybe not even the ones that you were hyper competitive in, but I'd really love to see you flexing your skills at some point, whether it be on, I don't know, Call of Duty or CSGO or Halo or whatever. That now that I know that that's something that is in your skill set, that's super interesting to me, and I'm thinking, oh gosh. So, once again, this super wholesome and comfy preschool teacher being able to systemically go through a game and be able to just be super good at what is obviously very uncomfy, at least in terms of gaming.
I guess so. Well, when it comes to games, I don't look at like the visuals or the aesthetic much anymore. When I focus on it, I like everything I see is just like information and mechanics and like decision making, information to base my decision making on, and I don't even think about what I'm looking at. It's disjointed. It's weird. I've ruined the games for myself.
I can sort of understand that, and that's a thing that I could see even potentially spilling over into the card game enjoyment as well. That I've worked in the games industry, and while I've never been hyper competitive in anything, I very much understand what you mean about seeing information and analyzing things, and that sometimes superseding visuals or other parts of the game. And when your brain starts to get into that analytic mode, is that something that you noticed you started seeing things in, whether it be other card games or just even other normal games, and that impacted your ability to either, synthesize information particularly well, or potentially even making it so that you realized you didn't enjoy something? Also, I am Pearl. Sure. I love Uni. Thank you for the follow.
Hi, Pearl. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so, okay. It's a bit funny, but my ability to perform well in esports is, it has helped me in many, many, many ways, especially in keeping cool in pressure situations and being analytical even when you're kind of panicking. Because, like, if you're in a big game and it's about a lot of prestige and, pool of money, stuff like that, you don't want to, like, if it's the second you panic, your team is going to just shatter and you lose, right? So you need to keep it cool. And the way that you kind of parse that sort of information is you divide it. You divide things to what's relevant or not, and then you sort it in your brain, and then you kind of cycle through, like, what's currently the most important. I'll have a look at that, and then you spend like a half second to just notice that, and then you look at something else, and then you just kind of act accordingly, and it's this like cycle. And I've been able to use that for many things, including my job. Like, sometimes for many reasons, maybe have 30 kids alone for some reason. It just kind of happens, and I need to be able to deal with that.
I can see the parallels there of, useful. All right, there's 30 students that you need to worry about, and, there's 30 mobs in this game or 30 enemies, and just being able to track and keep that information in your head of, okay, I checked on this one super recently, they were doing all right, I should check over here, and just peripheral awareness in general definitely seems like a skill that would translate, and I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective, but I can see how there would be some really usable crossover in terms of the skills of being a teacher and in esports.
Absolutely, and also combat sports. It's the
same.
Combat
sports,
I used
for sure.
To apply the same sort of thinking. Well, and I guess it's kind of like a last note for anyone interested in esports. It's all about your attitude. You have to be able to learn from everything and want to learn from everything, even when you're super salty, and that's how you get good. That's all you need to know. Anyone can get good at esports.
Yeah, because you mentioned you actually have done a bit of coaching. Do you think that coaching is something that you could see yourself doing more of? That is there a significant enough difference when you're not the one playing the game to make it so that you could enjoy it? Because in a way, a esports coach is a teacher that they're helping and guiding and instilling information. So I see that as a potential overlap. Is that something that you think you could see yourself doing again, or is esports as a whole something that you don't really feel the need to return to?
I'm done. I'm just
That's
done.
fair. That's totally
I've
fair.
coached friends regarding streaming and stuff, because I think obviously I've been doing some things right, and I just told them what I do. So I like helping people out that way, but I'm just done with esports coaching and esports in general. Done.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Now, some other types of games that aren't as competitive that we mentioned earlier that you really enjoy are horror games. And while you do play a fair few, softer games that you play Animal Crossing, you'll do just other comfy ones, that horror games are still a big thing for you. In fact, just earlier today, you were doing your weekly horror stream.
Yes. So growing up, I was always into horror, and I'll always be. It's just, I find the strange, absurd situations you find yourself in to be exciting, and to be I learn a lot from myself when I find myself in an absurd situation I would never be in a game. Like, how would I react to this absurdity when I'm like super immersed? I don't know. I've just always been into horror games and stuff, and nowadays, because I felt like I have to play more horror games. Yes, we do a weekly horror stream. Now we've been playing some Alien Isolation, which is hilariously difficult and cruel. I like it a lot. It makes me laugh in how unfair it is.
I was actually able to tune into a couple minutes of that before I was doing my own prep here, and you mentioned how sometimes you find yourself not screaming or being scared, but just laughing at things that some streamers, really lean into. Okay, I'm super scared, and I'm okay with being super scared. But you, on the other hand, are just super calm and collected, and like you said, even just laughing at the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I get a kick from it. I'm not like laughing at. I'm not seeing the visuals for what they are. I don't know. I'm seeing this product that is meant to entertain me and get a reaction of me, and when they succeed, I'm like delighted.
Oh yeah, so I guess in that case it's, oh, congratulations, you actually got me there, even if it isn't necessarily, okay, I'm terrified for more than a split second, that you got my heart racing there, well done.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you have any particular favorite horror games, whether it be ones that you've streamed or just ones that you go back to in your free time and say, this is a really, really strong example in the genre?
Ooh, the Silent Hill franchise, especially 2 and 3, I guess they're more so art. They are a very absurd, surreal, visceral kind of art and storytelling, especially the second one. But it goes into very, very, very dark stuff. So be warned. But it is something that has always been important to me.
What sets them apart for you?
I think it's you can kind of tell that they are a product of love and passion by the team, and so you can tell a story in many different ways, but I'm so interested in a story that you can always revisit and learn new things from. And their indirect abstract storytelling is something that really just does it for me. And how so basically Silent Hill is like a spooky game where every character, their feelings and their emotions, their thoughts, their past, everything projects around them. So your dark past would be a projection onto that could somehow end up in someone else's version of that town. It's really bizarre, but just the idea of taking thoughts and concepts and ideas within you and making them into a physical reality is something very interesting to me. And I oftentimes write music like that. I would I will try and grab a thought or a memory, and I would turn that into a person, and I would I would like write a poem about what this person would do in this situation, and then I try to make music for it. The storytelling would be the answer to your question. The storytelling and the music.
That makes sense, yeah. That I'm a big fan and just video game music buff in general. Unfortunately, I am a wimp. I do not like horror games. I don't like horror movies. I enjoy watching horror streams. That it's very different for me when it's, you know, sort of a lights-on scenario where it's the chat is bantering and the streamer is talking. I don't like being the one, I suppose, partaking in the medium. I don't enjoy watching horror films or playing the games myself, but I can still very much appreciate the storytelling and just the types of stories that are told in horror, because they do examine a lot of different psychological things and just themes as a whole that aren't really touched upon in other genres. One thing that I'll do every so often is, one thing that you really can't avoid is, you know, I'll see a horror trailer for a movie, you know, back when I would go into theaters on a regular basis, or just, you know, paid advertisement when I'm scrolling through social media for a horror movie, and I'll see that and be like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. That looks terrifying, but the story seems really cool. And then when it comes out, I'll go to Wikipedia and look up the synopsis and be like, oh, okay, so that's how that story happens. Neat. I'm glad I didn't see it, but I'm glad that I looked it up.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, all forms of art have something to offer, I think.
For sure.
And especially that kind of art that really triggers emotions within you that you may not be used to or don't want. Has this draw to it, you know?
Yeah.
That many people gravitate to even though they don't really want to.
Do you have any horror films that are your favorites, or ones that, even if you don't necessarily say it is one of your favorites, that you admire in terms of something that they did with their storytelling?
The Ring. I just find that to be a very solid movie. Also, most of everything in The Ring is told not through the main plot. It's told through little details in the environment, and I like that a lot.
Now, admittedly, all I know about The Ring is it's the one with the videotape in 7 days, and the girl comes through the screen and horror stuff, and that there's something about, like, she comes out of a well, and there's a curse because the girl herself was, like, trapped in a well or something. The Ring movies have been out for a very long time now, so I think the statute of limitations for spoilers has passed. If you really, really don't want spoilers for The Ring, mute for a little bit. Yami, could you tell me a little bit, I guess, about what really got your attention from The Ring and the series as a whole? And feel free to do any amount of spoilers or just, you know, big moments. Like I said, it's been a while since they've come out, so I don't think that it's a problem talking about it.
Well, okay, so I was like 10 years old. We had some VHS tapes laying around. I was
That
bored.
is not a film for a 10-year-old.
I thought one of the tapes was like a recorded one, home record. And scribble on it was what I thought to be Pingu. Turns out it was Ringu.
Oh,
I had no idea
oh
what that
dear.
was. And I watched the first 10 minutes and I was like, I wonder when it's gonna like switch over to Pingu. And then I just kept watching and I was horrified. And it was just like this nightmares imagery on top of nightmares imagery, and it was horrifying. And so I couldn't sleep and I couldn't look into mirrors for like half a year or something.
Oh,
And then I watched the
that's
other
awful.
one. Yeah, I think what I really like about these movies is that it's like conjuring something that was incredibly scary and traumatizing for a child. I can't even like explain anymore why I like it. It's just like in my DNA.
Yeah, that just it made a very early impression on you, and therefore I suppose it's probably a combination of just the nostalgia factor in a weird way, and also the fact that obviously the Ring series is still touted very much as a just genuinely good horror franchise, and it feels like, you know, I say this as someone who isn't super into the horror genre, but thinking on it now, I feel like The Ring was one of the earlier, you know, really big franchises because they made a whole bunch of them that you have like Night of the Living Dead and whatnot predates it a fair bit, but I think that it was one of the first, you know, big series of just having interconnected movies in the horror genre.
One of them that wasn't a slasher, pretty much.
That
there
too.
are like 14 movies, I think. It's like a manga, 5 books, 1 game.
I didn't know that there was
2 drama series.
I didn't know that there was all this peripheral media. I'm not necessarily surprised to hear it, but I was not aware of, you know, The Ring being something beyond a film series. But now that you mention it, there is a lot of more Eastern culture themes, at least from what little aspects I've gleaned of it. So I gather that it is not actually something that originated in the West.
Oh, no, it's a Japanese franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's like a lot of not a lot, but a lot more Japanese folklore than you would think. And I really hate how they just disregarded all of that for the American version, but the American version is a masterpiece in its own. But yeah, anyway, it's a really, really cool Japanese, very, very Japanese franchise.
That's neat, and I'm super into anime and manga, but obviously, you know, not liking horror, that's just an area that I've avoided, so I can see how I didn't know that it was just an inherent blind spot for me, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm obviously a big fan. I would consider myself to be the one big Ring fan still in Sweden.
Now, how many different versions between the novels, the dramas, and all those other iterations have you seen?
Let's see here. Well, there is the first movie, Rinkasenban. There is Ringu. There is the Ring Virus. There's The Ring. There is, let's see here, the manga version, the book version, the drama version. Okay, so there's 8 or 9 versions of the same story, and they branch into different paths.
And how many of them have you yourself read or seen?
All of them.
Oh my goodness, all of them! Wow. Yep. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
Like
yep. You have earned that title of Ring Superfan.
Yeah, it's like it's not that new, but sometimes you just kind of crave it.
Have you ever considered just you already have your sort of goth model? Have you ever considered a version that has, you know, just super long black hair that you don't need to make an entirely new model, but just a new wig for the model, and then just flickering it on and off every so often?
Scary.
Just an idea.
That would give someone nightmares for sure. It's pretty funny.
But on the softer side of things, most of your content is, you know, the wholesome, approachable, family-friendly type of stuff that you have that particular time every week for the horror stream, and you advertise it as such so nobody's gonna, you know, stumble into it accidentally. When it comes to lighter games and just more wholesome games, do you have any favorites in those genres?
I don't know. The more I think about it, the less I can pick a favorite. I just like created stuff. I like feel-good stuff that has
All right, I guess I'll change the question a bit. What are the last 3 games that you've played that weren't horror games?
Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and Minecraft.
Nice. What type of Minecraft player are you? That some players are super into the combat and beating the Ender Dragon, others just want to create things, others enjoy just the thrill of mining and discovering different materials. How do you play Minecraft?
I started Vanilla World on hard mode. I spent 2 weeks making a huge mansion.
Uh-oh, audio cut out again. One moment, folks.
Is it back?
Yes, now we're back.
Well, okay, so I
Last thing I heard was you started a vanilla server on hard mode and spent 2 weeks creating a huge mansion.
yes, and then I never go into that world again, and that's me.
Okay, so you're the creative type, that you enjoy building
Yeah.
things.
Obsessively creative for a short while.
Mm.
That's about it.
And I'm a big fan of Animal Crossing myself. I think that's probably the first thing I saw you stream, because it was it would have had to have been somewhere around January. So I think it might have been, it would have been December or January. So it was probably around the holidays or still when there was snow on the ground. But I remember tuning in and seeing you playing Animal Crossing.
Mm.
Do you have a favorite
Cool.
villager?
Yeah, Animal Crossing is nice. Yes, Marcy. She's like a mom character, and I just love her to bits. A kangaroo. She's sweet. She's cute. I had her for a very long time on my island before I deleted it, and it's just a very nice thing.
Mm-hmm. And Mario Kart, do you have a favorite driver?
Lucina, because we kind of look alike.
Oh yeah, I can see that. The blonde hair, the blue outfit, yeah.
Oh wait, she's not Lucina. It's What's her name? Lusamina. Lusamina. Lucina is someone else in like Smash or whatever.
Oh,
yeah,
wait a minute.
Lusamina.
Yes, sorry. I was thinking of Rosalina for a minute there. Duh.
Rosalina. Maybe that. Wait, who's who?
She's the one from
Whoever
Mario
is
Galaxy.
Blue Teal. Yes, her.
And she has the little star, the Luma pal.
Yes. That's
Okay, so
her.
we were
I
still
don't even know
thinking we were
Mario
still
names.
thinking of the same character, even if we were both using the wrong name.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah. Have you played
Okay.
Mario Galaxy?
No.
That's one that I think that you would enjoy potentially, that if you're able to get that. The mechanics are very fun, and obviously Mario games are definitely going to be wholesome, but Mario Galaxy 1 in particular has a really touching story woven into it that most Mario games don't have, and it revolves around Rosalina, and there's these beautifully illustrated storybook segments, and like there's a moment in there where I cried. I remember when they revealed something about the character and showed some of the backstory, that there's some really emotional stuff that's just sort of quietly hidden away in there and then packs a punch when you get to that moment.
Wow, in a Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
should check it out.
And then the mechanics in that one are just very fun because it was the first time that they had made a Mario game on the Wii, so they had a lot of the motion controls and the whole gravity interaction on the different planets made for a lot of really unique puzzles that weren't really able to be done in previous Mario games.
Right. Yeah, it just seems like a nice game. I guess I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, and the music
my
is
Wii around.
fantastic in that one.
Yeah, I've been listening to that music actually. Like the Luma stuff is super comfy.
Yeah, very light and playful.
Yeah, I like it.
So I guess
Flat.
if you listen to game soundtracks sort of in your spare time, are there any favorite soundtracks that you have, regardless of if you've played the game or not?
Silent Hill 2, I think, is the best video game soundtrack of all time. Closely followed by Doom 16 and Doom Eternal, and Quake 3.
Ooh,
A
yeah.
lot
So
of
I
arena
can see that because
shooter
that
stuff.
gets back into your hard rock enjoyment there. Doom Eternal in particular. I haven't played all those games, but I've seen enough of Doom Eternal that I know that soundtrack, or at least the general vibe of it, and that one's definitely a hard rock one.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like violent music. Very violent.
Yes, very fittingly violent music.
Yes. Made with this like Russian super rare hardware synthesizer mainly. Like,
Ooh, I didn't know
sounds
that.
Like a beast. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's super interesting. How did you find out about that? Did you look that up, or was there something that you recognized in it?
I really like the soundtrack, and I like Mick Gordon's work, so I went to check him out, and I think there's like a video of him showing his setup.
Neat.
Yeah, sometimes I do that. Like I just kind of check out what other artists or musicians and producers use
Yeah.
to create their soundscapes.
Looking into the process, the people, and just the different influences there that I myself am definitely one who enjoys more of the orchestral types. So, Nobuo Uematsu is a big one that I'm into. Austin Wintory, the guy that did Journey, Abzu, Flow, very ethereal, a bit unorthodox. But he's also done some crazier ones, like he did it was called Monaco, and it was just super old-timey piano soundtrack, which was super cool. He also did Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah,
I never played those games, but I heard they're good.
He's done some cool stuff. That Austin Wintory, if you ever have a chance to look up his stuff.
I keep it in mind.
And on the other side of sound, so going from music to audio as a whole, you recently bought yourself an ASMR mic and have begun dabbling around in that space.
Yes, it is the most... it's the single most ill-advised purchase I've done. They're so expensive. But hopefully it will somehow be an investment that will one day help pay for itself. And with the support of some of my Patreon backers, I was able to gamble, so to speak, to get it. So I got a 3DO mic. They're those weird mics with like ears on them.
Yeah, the ears.
And I'm looking at it right now, and it's weird. It's so weird. Anyway, they are so they're binaural, kind of. They pick up audio the way that human hearing would do.
Yeah.
Kind of, as close as you can get.
As close as we're going to get right now with the technology we have. Was there something in particular that piqued your interest for ASMR? That was there either another content creator, or did you hear it somewhere else and be like, oh, that's something I want to try?
Okay. My background with ASMR is I thought I couldn't get the tingles, and I thought it was a little bit weird, and I didn't get it. And looking at the Twitch thing, it's like the top 10 are all like it's all just someone licking the audience in the ear, and then there's Lemon Leaf. And I was a little bit weirded out with the whole ear licking thing, and I was like, that's ASMR, I don't like it. And then I went to Lemon Leaf after being introduced to her through FUWATOPIA, and she's like the sweetest person in existence. She's just like so lovely, and we have so many things in common. So I went to hang out there more because I wanted to talk to her more. And it was nothing like what I thought it was, and it was really comfy. I could get the tingles, like the like pleasant emotion with whatever feeling you feel from some auditory stimuli. And it was nice. It was nice. And I figured, wait, why didn't I do this? And people have been asking me to do it for a very long time, and I didn't quite know what it was, and I had a strange perspective on what it was. And now I've been really like getting into it, learning how to create these sounds, experimenting with it, with the help of my audience and their feedback, kind of getting into ASMR content creation.
Are there any particular sounds that you enjoy hearing or making?
Yes, Foley sounds, I guess. I'm not so much into like verbal ASMR as I am. Like, it's pleasant when people speak in a pleasant tone. More so like, okay, so with the thing that I have, if I put on some like massage peeling shower gloves, and you can kind of like caress the outer ears of the mic. It sounds really pleasant. It's almost like white noise. It's noisy, but it has this crunch to it that it's tingly.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff is something that somehow works on me, and I didn't even know that it worked on me until Lemon Leaf proved to me that it works.
That's super neat. And is that what you hope to, I suppose, focus on and create with your own ASMR content?
Yeah, different things. I'm not even sure where to go anymore. Like, I want to do some. A lot of people want like roleplay kind of videos, and I will only do that in a way that is comfortable to me. And I figured,
of course,
okay, so something that's pretty cute is like, like obviously I'm pretty good with kids, right? And I
Yeah.
kind of miss being around kids. So what if I do something where I just kind of treat the audience as one of the kids that I'm caring for?
Yeah. Or do a
Something like
lesson
that.
of like, ASMR lesson on colors. Of, this
That's
is
cute.
red, the apple is red,
That's a fun idea.
the sky is blue, and different things like that, and maybe even incorporate what you've used as actual lesson plans, and that creates the basis of your script.
I should try that. So far, the only script I've written is in the perspective of a very young child waking up from a nightmare, and me being the dad, waking up to their dad playing video games and then consoling them.
Aw.
I find that to be cute.
Yeah, that's super sweet.
I think so. It'll be fun. I haven't recorded it yet.
Yeah, I definitely know that there is a lot of work that goes into ASMR that I haven't created anything like that myself, but I follow a couple of creators, that Lemonleaf being one of them, that I myself am not able to, I suppose, get the type of response from ASMR that others do, but I find it all fascinating. Yeah, but I find it fascinating, and there's a lot of very talented VTubers that create ASMR content that are able to do fun just chatting streams along with their ASMR, and their just chatting is so fun that, I don't dislike all the audio stuff. It doesn't impact me, but it doesn't detract from my enjoyment. So with Lemonleaf and several others, that the personalities have kept me around, and so I've heard enough to know that there's much more work that goes into it than what you would just expect or hear. And every so often you'll see people take pictures of their setups and all the different props and tools that they use to create the different sounds, and it really is a science.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely, and it's huge rabbit hole. Creating it. But it's fun. I kind of like rabbit holes. I mean, I'm here because I fell into
we've
a
all
rabbit hole.
fallen into at least one if you're here.
Yeah, I watched one video of Natsuro Matsuri, and here I am a year later as a VTuber myself.
Yep.
I don't know how it happened, but here we are.
Honestly, I feel like what you just said applies to probably half of the VTubers that have started in the past year. Of, you saw a video on YouTube, and then the algorithm said, hey, here's some more. And then a couple weeks later, you find another VTuber, and then you find some more, and then you fall into the rabbit hole, and there is no escape. Say so for life. Hey there, Captain. Good to see you here.
Hello, Cap. Hello. Well, it was almost like that with me, only that I saw it, and I was like, wait, you can motion capture two-dimensional art now? In real time? I didn't know that. That is weird. So I was like, hololive, what is this? It was some silly Matsuri video. It was one of her not rowdy ones, and she made me laugh really hard. And then I clicked on another one, and that was Hosha Marine, and she made me laugh, like a howling laugh. That was a rowdy one, but she's like the funniest.
Yeah.
So, she's just great. And then I saw Pekra, and I was like, all right, this is the one. I'm sticking with this bunny right here.
Yes, yeah.
And then I watched her so much, and then I was like, wait, I need to do this myself. And here we are.
One of the litmus tests I use to tell if somebody is in the rabbit hole or not is it's a gif of Pekora laughing, and I say, can you hear this image? If you can hear it, you're in the rabbit hole.
There's many layers to what you just said. Rabbit.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it, but yep, there you go.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything in particular that you want to do next? I suppose that obviously you're starting to dip your toe into ASMR content. You have your album, which will probably be worked on for a good while. But do you have any other projects or upcoming things that you want to tease or have people look forward to?
Yeah, let's see here. What am I doing? Well, so right now I am like working a lot on laying the foundation for. So basically, my dream is to do this full time and be economically secure enough to be able to move somewhere else. Hopefully Japan, I don't know. But so I'm working a lot on like Patreon stuff just to kind of feel more at ease. But like more ASMR stuff, more music stuff, I dream about being this virtual pop star. Maybe I can make it, Or,
Yeah.
like virtual alternative idol rather. And I know that idol is like people use it a lot, but I want to be like an idol in the sense of the idol thing somehow.
Yeah. It
I'm not
is
sure
a
how I
bit of a
get there.
broad term, but that just gives you the ability to make it your own.
Yes, absolutely. And right now I'm just gonna focus on getting better at ASMR and just focusing on my audience more, and finding a way to feel very economically secure, I guess. Not very, but just secure. Right now, like for every content creator that has just been like moving up to full time.
For sure,
it's
yeah.
super scary. So I'm just trying to work it all out. But I have ideas, I have projects, but I can't tease them because I don't know when I'll do them.
Very understandable. So we're starting to get to the end of our time here. I just have a couple questions that I like to ask all my guests. And the first of those is, what is your favorite meal? It could be, something super cheap, something expensive, something homemade. It doesn't need to be what you would eat every day, but if you're looking for something that you just really, truly enjoy, what is your go-to?
Tacos, I think. It's
Tacos.
Swedish tacos. Yeah, it's like, it's not real tacos, but it's Swedish tacos, and I like them that way.
What is the difference between a Swedish taco and what most would assume is a quote-unquote normal taco?
Very mild spices. We have like, I don't know, like wheat bread for some reason. Yeah, because it's supposed to be corn, right? And just like very few vegetables. It's just not the same. I don't know how to explain it. But from the 70s, it kind of evolved into its own thing. And it's actually like a traditional, at this point, traditional meal to have on Fridays in Sweden.
Oh, I didn't know that. What do you like in the tacos?
Corn, cucumber, onions, creme fraiche, is that what you call it? Some sriracha sauce.
Any meat or vegetarian?
Oh yeah, meat. Any meat. But however, that's just kind of my go-to thing. But the best thing in life is like my nana's elk meatballs or like something like that. Elk or deer meat is like the best thing in life with potatoes.
I've only had deer a few times, but I've enjoyed it both times I've had it, and it's a very gamey meat.
Yes. I love it. And here, so the indigenous people of Sweden, the Sami or Same, which like they trade deer with the rest of us, like reindeer, I think it is. Yeah, it should be reindeer. Sorry, I'm not good with the English word, but they trade it with companies and stuff. So it's their currency. It's traditionally used as their currency, right?
Yeah.
And us buying deer meat from them helps support them. And it's like a really good thing. So I think everyone in Scandinavia should eat more deer meat to support the Sami people. And it's really good.
That's super cool.
So yeah.
And I'm glad that there's
really cool.
able to be that support for indigenous folks in your area, and that it allows them to sort of spread their culture a bit beyond their own people, and that they're able to get financial support out of it and hopefully have a healthy relationship with whatever businesses purchase from them.
I think so. There's like a lot of laws. You can't just trade. You have to be fair.
For sure.
You have to be fair.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. So absolutely.
Do you drink tea or coffee? And if so, how do you take them?
Coffee and quick. Being a preschool teacher is like, you kind of always need to be sharp, and just kind of the easiest way to stay sharp when you're feeling a bit drained is to take a couple of deep breaths and have some coffee. But there's no time to have the coffee, so you grab a mug, you pour it to like half full with milk. No. Well, that too. Okay, let's say milk and then coffee on top of it, and you just have it at one go, because you can't even look away for 2 seconds because
Yeah.
something is going to happen because you left, right?
Yep.
Um,
You probably can't
Yep.
have a mug because that'd be fragile and like a kid could get it and accidentally break it. So you probably need a thermos or something that, isn't going to shatter.
Yeah. So you sweep the coffee, and that's how I've been living ever since. Just sweep my coffee with a bunch of milk. I do enjoy chamomile tea though,
Mm-hmm.
and that I take my time with. You don't stress chamomile tea.
Wise words from Yami. You don't stress chamomile tea.
Yes, let that be. Let that be my epitaph.
And the last question is, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Whoa.
No, it's a big one. I'm asking the hard-hitting questions here.
Yeah, I should have thought about this beforehand. So okay. Everything has happened so fast. Super fast. Well, currently it's what I do. It's become a big part of my identity. And I feel like I've kind of scrubbed everything from my earlier life, so to speak. Not everything, but like a lot of it's just gone. Before this too, like before even thinking about it. But it's like a new start. It's a way of getting someone to talk to. It's a way of making friends. It's a way of earning a living, hopefully. It kind of means so almost everything, because when I'm not VTubing, I'm thinking about VTubing, right? And it's been something that has been so helpful during a very hard time for many reasons. Not just the pandemic, but just in general. Because I was kind of before VTubing, I was bedridden for 2 years, and I don't remember those years very well. And then I kind of came back, started doing combat sports to improve my mental health. And during that time, I kind of asked most of my friends to leave me alone, because they didn't pay attention to me during the 2 years when I was gone. And then I was like, all right, what do I do? I don't have that much anymore. And I figured out VTubing, and since then I've been building something new for myself with this. So it means a lot. I don't even know.
Well, it's safe to say that you've had a fair amount of success. You, a couple months ago now, actually achieved a partner on Twitch. You have a very vibrant community, very wholesome community. It's one that is definitely a reflection of you, your content, and your attitude. That it's really nice that you've been able to carve out your own niche in the internet like this, and you obviously have so much ahead of you, a lot of plans in the works, and you even took a bit of a break recently to make sure that you were reset, and it seems like that was very healthy for you, and I'm glad that you were able to recognize that you needed a bit of a break and took it, and that are back and better than ever.
Thank you. Yes, breaks are good. Breaks are always good. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't even know I was gonna have 3 people watching me, so I feel like I've achieved a lot, and I'm very happy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. Yeah, because I didn't even starting out. I didn't really know any other say so VTubers, and people kept telling me you're playing hard mode, and also you're a male VTuber. That's also hard mode, and I was like, I don't care.
To be fair, they aren't wrong, but for playing hard mode, you're doing pretty well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I guess I don't care if it's hard mode or not. I'm just gonna do what I do. That's been my attitude. I don't care. I'm just gonna do it.
Being yourself always pays off.
Yes, absolutely. And people have been telling me that I've been helping pave the way for them when they've been looking at me and been so inspired that they can also be a family-friendly say-so VTuber. And that means so much, considering I'm just doing what I feel like.
Whether you know it or you're not, you're still teaching when you're VTubing.
Yeah, it seems so, huh? And that's just really cool because it feels so surreal. People coming up to me and being like, "Wow, you're such an inspiration," and I wouldn't be doing doing things the way that I do if it wasn't for you. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I'm just a dude on the internet. I'm glad you like it. You know.
For sure. Well, Yami, thank you so much for joining me this evening. That I know it is very, very late for you. You had a stream right before this, but this has been so much fun. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And I'm glad we could finally make it happen because we have been back and forward trying to make this happen for a very long time.
Yeah, that's true. I think of all of the guests, because I do a bit of outreach to a couple people at a time in case somebody's busy. And you and I have bounced back and forth for a little bit. That you said right away that you were interested, but you've been busy. And I'm glad that even if it took a little while, we were finally able to get things to work out.
Yes, thank you for the patience. One has to be patient with me.
It was no problem at all.
I move slowly. Thank you. Yeah, it's been great fun, and I really admire what you do. I like the idea of giving VTubers this opportunity to just come and talk and be interviewed, because it's very different from another like what we would usually do. So I think it's really cool.
Oh, I'm so glad that you enjoyed yourself. Thank you so much.
Oh no, I cut out. Sorry, I cut out. Hello? Oh boy. I can't hear it. Okay. Oh no. What a timing. I can't hear a thing. Hello? Oh man. I can't hear a thing. Hope it's not me.
Testing 1 2. There we go. I have no idea what the heck happened. That was weird. Well, I was literally saying we had a little bit of scuff at the beginning, and I guess we had a little bit of scuff at the end. Oh
it's
boy.
It's a scuff sandwich.
Yep, it always happens. I have a saying, embrace the scuff, love the scuff. One of the things I learned from doing live events is that even if you put in every bit of preparation you can, sometimes things happen and you have to roll with them. But there we go. But anyways, since I think my mic cut out for some reason and just stomped all of that outro, I'll have to redo the outro. So once again,
yes,
Yami, thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's been late for you. I hope you get some good, well-deserved rest. Thank you to everyone in the chat who's stuck around. This has been Vtuber Talk. I'm Jay. If you enjoyed this, please give me a follow here on Twitch or Twitter. I'll be back next week with another interview. And until then, I hope you all have a fantastic day. See you next time.
See you next time. Yes, I'll follow. Thank you so much for having me.